Good morning, everybody. GM. GM. Welcome to the call. Getting this party started. GM, welcome to Money Monday. Last night was the longest night of the year. Did you know that? 12/21 for the Northern Hemisphere, the longest night. So we made it, guys. It's all going to be longer days from here. Ain't that something? It's a beautiful thing. I mean, technically, these next 3 days is going to be within a minute or two of the same time of day, same time of night, which, some people say overlaps with the whole story of 3 days and then the sun rises. Anyway, I'm more of a financial scholar than anything. Let's take a look at that. First, we got our quote of the day. Being best is a false goal. You have to measure success on your own terms. Boy, howdy. I'll tell you what, you better be clear on how you define what best means. Because you could accidentally, the whole genie in the bottle kind of irony maximizer, where you set some goal you think is very clear, and then the genie in the lamps, takes you way too literal on something and delivers what you said you wanted, but in some goofy way you weren't expecting or meaning. So being best is a false goal. You have to measure success on your own terms. It's so critical, especially when you're looking at how many vacations someone has, or how much money they earn, or what they have, any of the havings. You go around and look at people and go, oh, I want to be better than that, better than that. It'll never end. So measure success. And we talked about this in the next challenge and EMT in several places. We define success. We define success as getting what you want without violating the rights of others. Getting what you want without violating the rights of others. That's how we define success. If that's what you're doing, then you are a success. If you make a boatload of money, but it's at someone else's expense, still a failure. And, being able to operate from that position, getting what you want, getting everything you want in abundance without violating the rights of others. That's why I decided to be a Renatus rep. So GM to that. GM to all of you. Okay, so I wanted to show you something else here. Came across something about our education, but just want to make sure when you're defining your success, or when you are, when you set your short-term, your medium-term, and your long-term goals, make sure that your long-term, your 10, 15, 20-year goal includes everyone's well-being. Right? Like if you're having a hard time seeing what's life going to be like in 20 years, that's fine. Just put everyone's well-being, and then get back to your medium and short-term goals. Speaking of that, check this out. We have a lot of people who have a misunderstanding about world-class performance and how to, be in that top percentile, have high achievement, whether that's money, skill, a knowledge base. So here's what we're looking at. In the early years, some people will have Single-mindedness, right? An intense, discipline-specific practice, accelerated early progress. So when someone is only doing one thing and they're comparing it to someone else who's on this path, it looks like they're going to achieve a lot more and a lot sooner. Let me get my pen out here. Going up through this path, right? And then there's this giant gap right here between the people who are focusing on one thing and the people who are getting exposed to many things. Extensive multidisciplinary practice, gradual early progress. So some people get psyched out here. They go, "Oh no, the guys over there are doing better. The guys over here are doing better. I want to go and switch to what they're doing," not realizing that it's going to actually trail off. And if we were to be, I think this is a little too generous. If you only stick to one thing, you're really going to end up, you know, somewhere here. I don't think you're going to be just below world class unless you understand a lot of things. But here we are. Okay. We're on this path. We're working on, where's my colors? Green. We're on this path. Okay. Because you're learning banking, you're learning credit, you're learning real estate, you're learning leadership, you're learning communication, you're learning effective time management, you're learning goal setting, you're learning copyright, you're learning um, video editing, right? How many things you guys are learning in this endeavor with us is enormous. Extensive multidisciplinary practice. So do not get psyched out, and understand that, it's going to be years, years. I was on a follow-up call last week with someone who wants a result in 30, 60, 90 days. And I'm like, cool, there could be some results. We'll get them for you. You have means, you have the wherewithal to get some things. But if you want that early success, you're going to be neglecting it on the back end here where you're getting your world-class peak performance. But it takes years of sticking with it. Good news is you can make a lot of money fast in this program, but you've got to have a year's attitude approach to what you're working on. And that, a lot of people say, a specialist over a generalist. When they say that, they're talking about this path. So you're going to get your early accelerated progress being a specialist. Now, when I say a generalist, you still got to be awesome at all the things you're doing, right? Um, but like think about the difference between a short sale, wholesaling, fix and flip, landlording, short-term rentals. All of those are their own discipline that you could have, that you could specialize in. But I think because of what we're offering here and the approach that we have of many years, that we are going to get this incredible growth, going to be playing in the world class if you stick with it. Become specialized in some things, but make sure that you know where you're going. And like I said, this just below is not. We're going to put red over here. This is not real. If you are just doing one thing and you're not staying focused, or you're not having a growth mindset and adapting, you're not going to get to world class. So that's my own little take on this chart. A couple authors made some really in-depth books about achievement, and this is just taken from that. Thoughts or comments before I show you the next thing? So work out, study, try harder, invest wisely, educate yourself, make more money. We're on the right path. All right. Thanks, Don. All right, something else here. Now, this one's interesting about getting rich and staying rich. Okay. Now, this is following different people's paths on wealth accumulation in our country. Okay. And clearly, this is several decades, right? We're looking at 40 years on our chart here. Okay. And then this is the wealth measurement, standard deviations. Okay, so check this out. A lot of these things are saying that, hey, if you are making good decisions early, chances are that those good decisions early on, right here, are going to compound and keep you on the uptrend. And then obviously making poor decisions is going to change it a lot faster, and you will never get out of it with poor decision making. You are just doomed. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is what are these trail offs right here in the middle of the chart? Well, and then thinking about why is this happening 20 years? They were on the uptrend. They were on an uptrend. 20 years later, 25 years later, 30 years later, they start losing their wealth. What's happening here? Well, it's partly because of an accumulation of poor decision making. We've talked about in the past things about recency bias, survivorship bias, sunk cost bias, where we put our own preferences on decision making instead of looking at just the facts. So when these things start to compound, you could easily slip away. And then because you don't have a good metric for decision making, or these people, not you, right? The royal you, not talking to anyone on this call. But what happens is that tendency to slip and then stay down and never recover. Because if you don't get educated, your chances of making good decisions over several decades is very hard. Now think about this too. this is obviously like from here, looking at this moving on in this direction are boomers, Gen X, right? Because obviously the millennials and the Zoomers are on this side. But what started happening, especially in 2008, the global financial crisis, and everyone started getting rugged by the government, that they had a false understanding of decision making that led to their wealth. In this portion of the chart, this was easy goings. This was, we were still linked similar to a stable economy with low inflation. But even more so was that our society here in America is very stable. You know, like law-abiding citizens, very stable society where people can exchange ideas freely. And so this rapid accumulation with very little effort was just a benefit of people living in our American society, not a result of good decision making. As you can see that as time went on and they needed to make more decisions, their wealth started dropping off, and less people made it to the end of their lives with their wealth. These people over here consistently kept making good decisions. That's what it comes down to. It's not that you made some good decisions over here and then you're good. For some, yes. Likelihood for us, no. Our results are going to be a compounding effect of good decision after good decision, and that's how we're going to stay rich. Okay, this is a very interesting look at decision making and wealth distribution that I found fascinating. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. This is what keeps me up late at night. How am I going to help my team make more money in the long run? We want to get rich quick. We want to get rich fast. Year one, come on, give me 250. Year two, I'd like $1 million by year two. Year three, 5 million. It's possible. You could do it, right? You sell 84 combos, you make $1 million in this program. Flip a couple houses like Bill Predabon, you make $1 million in this program. There's definitely ways of making millions. Keeping it over time is compounded good decision making. So that's why you need to watch your classes, the red flags class, investor DNA, the due diligence classes. Like they're going to show you decision making metrics removed from your emotion. All these people that slipped off their wealth path, they got emotional, right? This is what emotional slips, emotional slips, emotional slips. And then, dang, how shitty, how awful would that be? 35 years, you were at least above average on your wealth track, right? These dark blue lines, above average for decades and decades, made a few bad decisions, you're done. So, going back to what I was saying about needing to have multidisciplinary um, approach to your wealth creation so that you don't lose it, so it doesn't fall out of your hands from ignorance or get confiscated from you by um, nefarious actors and such. And so those compounding good decisions and getting to be competent in many things, multidisciplinary practice. That means competent in many things, right? That's what's going to allow you to stay on the top half of the other chart and not have those slips. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down? Is this bringing any ideas or awareness, aha moments, revelations? Maybe it's annoying. Let me get some feedback. And you can come off mute if you want, type it in the chat. Or you can just type boring and I will bring up different things on the next call. Sweet.
Self-discipline is a very challenging thing to do for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to work hard at it. Thanks, Michelle. GM Rachel. Thanks, John.
Yeah, I just like to remind her about it being not emotional. Like one of the key points was of change was like they let it get emotional, and I don't know. I just think that's probably one of my biggest hangups.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So one of the keys is setting some, like even just on a piece of paper, writing out your logic plan. If this comes up, yes. If this comes up, no. And going down your yes, no's like an Excel spreadsheet almost.
mm,
Or when the time comes up and you're like, oh my gosh, should I, shouldn't I? Go back to your predetermined decision making method and no problems. Following your system. I put a little meme in the ISN yesterday, thanking all the gamblers in real estate industry for helping to feed my family. Okay. Because the gamblers are the emotional people. They might
mm,
not identify as gamblers, but if you are making, wealth creation decisions out of emotion, that's a gamble. And is this making sense?
yeah, and it's making sense. Is that something you came up with on your own? Like you were just able to determine your own map that way, or was it because of you did certain classes?
It was definitely an obsession with the classes and watching the due diligence instructors, because every few years they update them.
Okay.
So I've seen a couple different where they talk about losing $1 million on a deal, like screwing up big time, and how their emotions got in the way. And then the thing that gave me the framework for it was the book Thinking Fast and Slow.
Okay.
Thinking Fast and Slow Man is it'll show you over 100 different decision-making fallacies that we've all done as humans. Highly tracked. The guy got a Nobel Prize in economics for the book. Incredible material. And I've actually listened to it 3 times and then read it once because he has some charts in the book. It comes with the audio also, but um, like decisions, you making decisions like based off of the sentence prior that you heard, and then it's decision time. Just hearing this a specific sentence before decision time will change your decision. Whereas you thought you made that decision last year, but what influenced it was 5 seconds prior. All kinds of amazing stuff in that book. So please get it, read it, study it, because you do not want to lose decades of wealth accumulation from a few bad decisions. I think that would be labeled as a tragedy, not just a mistake. So, um, yeah, our decision, the world that we live in for decision making, right? The tech world, the information age, not the industrial age. Our brains are not geared towards this number of decisions per day. So you have to have a decision making system. And yeah, there's something called decision fatigue also. That's why people like Steve Jobs, they just decided, I'm only wearing black shirts the rest of my life. I don't want to have the decision what shirt to wear today because I have to make 100 decisions today and I don't want to be worn out. So they just started to simplify so many things so that the decisions were on critical stuff. And so that's helped a lot too. I know what I'm eating for breakfast. It's eggs or it's bacon, right? Keep it simple.
Michael, I was going to say is also to kind of watch who you're surrounding yourself with when you're making your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Like who you're around that's kind of feeding into your decisions because you're your sole CEO.
Exactly. And if you're hanging out with, uh, the nice word would be a turd, you're going to end up a turd. I like to hang out with Bill Predabon because he reminds me to work out every morning. You know, it's just, there's no decision making in that for him. It's just, that's what we do every day. We just do this and it's
Even if
simplified.
they're close to home to you, like even close relatives or spouses. Yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep. Jim Rohn would say, stand guard at the door of your mind because you never know who's influencing you. One of the decision making metrics that people have is called survivorship bias. Okay. This was well documented back in World War II when Germany had invaded France and were inventing long range missiles. Right up until then, that you had cannonballs, you had catapults, you didn't really have missiles and rockets. So terror was raining down on London from Germany, and they didn't know how to aim these things. Okay, so the bombs were just landing in random places. There'd be the alarms, you'd hear the bang, and so from the citizens' perspective, what Germany thought they were doing was creating this campaign of terror and trying to scare everyone. But what ended up happening was something we now called survivorship bias. And the first couple weeks, everyone was scared. But then what happened is the bomb went off even within view of you. It blew up your neighbor's building, but nobody got hurt, or you, specifically you didn't get hurt. You got a false sense of confidence, and to where over the months of this campaign, people stopped flinching. They stopped getting scared. They thought, well, I survived the last bomb. I'll survive this one. And it just created the opposite effect that the Germans were trying to induce. And it made everyone a lot more brave and less emotional about what was happening. So then, of course, psychologists and psychoanalysts started looking this over the decades as survivorship bias. And people do it with financial decisions all day, every day. You swipe your credit card. Well, the last time it didn't hurt, so I'll do it again. Or you make these crazy deals, these crazy offers. Partnerships with people you know you should not be partnering with, but you do it anyway because the last one worked out and you got lucky because you put everything on black and the roulette turned black. Survivorship bias. Your chances of screwing up are still crazy high. And so this decision making metric on, well, I didn't get hurt last time, should not be in your logic tree. In the yes, no, you don't have a box that says, well, did I survive it last time? So yes, so I should. That's not part of it. However, it's ingrained in us biologically. And so we have to fight that when it comes time to invest here, put our money there, say yes to this, say no to that. And yeah, beware. Just because you didn't get burned on the last deal, you making money on your last deal doesn't mean you did everything right. Is that translating? Just because you made money on your last deal doesn't mean you made good decisions. My favorite class is the real estate red flags class. And the line, there's one sentence in there that Chris Alban said that changed my investing back in 2013. He said, sometimes the best deal is the one you say no to. I was like, whoa. I thought best deals were only based in yeses. And when he gave me that perspective, oh man, it was so easy to say no to stuff now. Because part of you doesn't want to lose the opportunity. Oh, someone brought me a contract. There's an opportunity here. I don't want it to run away. And so then this false sense of scarcity shows up, and you make your emotional decision. So sometimes the best deal is the one you say no to. And man, some things have looked so great to me, but it was just an easy no. And I didn't feel any regret or missing out or letting someone else get the deal. And I've done 47 deals. I don't have volume, but I have size. Okay, it's a little different in my approach. When I hear people like Dane and Bill that have done hundreds and hundreds of deals, I think together they've done over 500 deals and done hundreds of millions worth of capital movement. Um, they have a decision making metric that's just so easy for them to say yes and no, yes and no. It's not up to them anymore. They made the decision a long time ago in the decision making process a long time ago, and some of you haven't. And so if you haven't, I would encourage you to spend these next week or two while people are revamping their life, and traditionally in our society that's what we do, although it doesn't make any sense, right? There's no clock in the universe that says on January 1st things are new, is right. And depending on which country you're from is which clock you look at, right? There's the Roman calendar, there's the Chinese calendar, there's an Indian calendar, there's so many different calendars. There's a Greek calendar, there's a Jewish calendar. We picked January 1st. Here we are. My point is, don't get wrapped up in that. But since we're all here, spending time on goals, that's the vibes, set some goals. Cool. All right. If you don't have a decision making plan, then that's the time. This is now the time to investigate that. I'm introducing the idea. I want you to look into it further, investigate further on thinking fast and slow, how our decision making is easily tripped up and makes huge amounts of mistakes. What are you going to say yes to? More importantly, what are you going to say no to? And get it written down or typed up, concrete. So when it comes time to make your decisions, you just look at your paper and do what it said instead of trying to think about that little voice in your head saying, but what if, what if, what if? It's brought a sense of calm for me that I hope everyone feels when they invest. And avoided many losses or potential losses. So yeah, thinking about this, Just because you made money last time doesn't mean you made all the right decisions, right? Is playing Russian roulette a good decision? Right? There's only one bullet in the chamber, so let's just pull the trigger. And nobody got hurt, so pulling the trigger must be okay. That's literally the equivalent of some people's decision making in investing. It's crazy, and we have to be aware that our brain would say it didn't get hurt last time, so it's okay this time. Wild stuff. Okay, joy of missing out. Nice. Jomo. Funny you say that because I recently said no to a short-term rental offer because it didn't meet my buy box. Yep, easy enough. If it doesn't fit the metrics, it's just an easy no. Like that's sometimes why people think, oh, the banker is cold-hearted and blah blah blah. They didn't listen to the story behind my idea, whatever. The decision was made a long time ago that these are yeses and these are nos. So it has nothing to do with you. Cool. Does anyone want to add anything to this? I'm gonna bring up one more topic, but give us space for comments and questions. Okay. Remember, compounded good decisions over time are going to make a massive difference in your wealth. Something else to think about in trying to project out a 20-year financial goal. Um, okay. Since 1971, when we got off the gold standard, the Federal Reserve has been printing money at 6.8% per year. Let's round it to 7 for easy math. If you want to round to 6, we could do that too. I'm going to say 7, 6.8. 7% compounded year over year means the number doubles every 10 years. So easy. If it's 7, doubles every 10. Can you lock that into your head? If it's 7% growth every 10 years, it doubles. Okay? So let's say we want to set a goal of having $1 million cash in 20 years. 20 years from now, if I do everything right, sure, I'll have assets and this and that, whatever, but $1 million. Then you can ask yourself, all right, what would it be worth in today's dollars? Well, 20 is 2 tens. So we would just reverse it. $1 million, if we go out from 10 years, we cut it in half because we're going backwards now. $1 million, 10 years would be 500, and cut it again for today's dollars, 250. 250,000 today's dollars is $1 million 20 years dollars. Does that make sense? So now if you have a goal of $10 million or $20 million, I want to be worth 20 million 20 years from now. That's reasonable. Especially if houses are going to be worth $1 million. You say 20 houses, net worth 20 million. Okay, so that's the equivalent. Cut it in half for 10 years from now would be 10 million. Cut it in a half again for today would be 5 million today dollars is 20 million 20-year dollars. You guys picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. Is anyone interested in a tinfoil hat theory? Or should I make that for a separate episode? That's my unlisted YouTube channel.
Do it.
Oh, okay. All right. One time for the people. Okay. Thinking. Where is the safest place to end up economically, reduce my risk, maintain upward mobility, freedom, choice, prosperity? Um, Looking at historical examples, where we're going to go in the future. Okay. Just thinking out loud. Okay. Just thinking out loud. In 1934, when the United States was not doing its best with its monetary policy, right? That's 5 years into the Great Depression. They made a law to make it illegal to own gold. This blew my mind. Okay. I thought I knew history, especially American history. I love the idea of the principles it was built on. The methodology is a little, I know, but the principles, okay. But when I learned that it was illegal to own gold and that you could go to jail or pay a $10,000 fine, and $10,000 in 1934 was all the money. You had to turn in these dollars, the gold bars, and you would get $20. When they were done confiscating it from the entire population, then they changed the price of an ounce of gold to 35, and they instantly added to their own balance sheet 75% net worth, just like that. Okay. Then we got off the gold standard in 71. Okay, different idea. When countries want to fight a war that their citizens don't approve of, they cannot put together bonds. They cannot tax because then people will fight it. So what do? They print the money. They print. Now we're in a huge beneficial situation being in America with the dollar being the global reserve currency. Hallelujah, we're in the best country for this. Woohoo! But started thinking the government to prevent its own bankruptcy confiscated the wealth from its citizens. Okay. Under the guise of save the country, patriotism, blah, blah, blah. Good for them. They're going to do it again. Except for this time, it's not going to be gold confiscation. It will be asset confiscation. Highly likely, it will be real estate. Okay, tinfoil hat. I'm not making predictions. If there was a tinfoil hat emoji on me right now, okay, just pretend. Uh, you guys know about FDIC bank accounts? The getting insurance on your bank accounts. Okay, so let's say you up to 250,000 per account, and if you were to be in a bank that went insolvent, then you would get that insurance paid back to you. Okay, so banks go insolvent because of bad debts. Bad debts are basically just non-performing notes on assets, and it can easily be a cascade effect on several banks. Okay. The government has the gold, but what they don't have, that they keep printing boatloads of money, they don't have the cash, right? They print it and distribute it, but it's not trackable. And so, what if instead of, when the bank goes out and the assets are confiscated, and then your money gets confiscated, and they say, oh, well, you were insured, don't worry, but we're going to give you a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. So we're going to just give you the digital dollars instead of actual dollars. No, you don't get to go to a bank and pull it out as cash. It's a digital dollar. You can still spend it at all the places, but um, only digitally. Well, now it can be programmed. You can't spend it on, let's say, grass-fed beef. You've had too much grass-fed beef this month. Soybeans for you only. Or no, you don't get to go to the gas station day. You already drove 1,000 miles this month, so no to you. If your money is all wrapped up in central bank digital currencies, you're done. You're hosed. Your choices go from unlimited to very specific. And tinfoil hat, okay, I'm giving disclaimers. I don't believe this, but I'm just wondering, okay? So if with America being maxed out on its debt like never before, the most debt ever, and it's all on supposedly assets, right? But these assets have been inflated. There's no way a house should really be worth $800,000 when 30 years ago it was worth $80,000. But okay, here we are. This is the landscape. So they printed all the money. They can't keep control of the cash. They're going to push some banks out of business, force liquidations, pay people back in these central bank digital currencies. They'll put it under this story of it's so easy to pay your taxes like this, and in fact, you don't even need to pay us because it's programmable money. We could just go in and take it. The way I think to stay out of this would be working your butt off to become debt free, or if your debts are just in things like credit cards, um, then it's way different. But if you can't keep up with your debts on assets, and obviously the asset was the collateral for it, so then they have to take it back, blah, blah, blah. It's all linked, potentially. Again, the tinfoil hat is tall with this one. But I was just thinking, what the goal of being debt free is more than just to accumulate cash. It might be to make sure that you are way more flexible. It fights some other wealth creation principles that we've been taught about, like keep a 30-year mortgage if it's 2, 3, 4%, because it's free money and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, one risk of using mortgages, I see, you put 20 years into your 30-year mortgage. This happens when we work short sales and foreclosures. This happens all the time. We see someone 15, 20 years diligently paying their mortgage, and they miss 3 payments in a row. They have lost 20 years of deposits because of 3. They made hundreds of payments. They lost 3, and now the bank says, we're going to take that all back, right? They were scrimping and saving, honest, hardworking citizens for 20 years. They paid their taxes on time. They paid their this. They did their that. They never took advantage of anyone. But something happened in their life where they missed 3 to 6 payments, and now hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity are now gone. Their deposits, the value capture, all of it gone because they missed 3 to 6 payments. It's a tough gig. And so they had to sell their asset and they had to, work something else out to prevent a domino effect of other things in their life. But I was just thinking about like grand scheme, large scale, with how much debt we have, what the government needs to do, because they will do anything to maintain their number one world reserve currency status. And so, at the last E3, I got to have lunch with Mr. Pennington, personal net worth around 200 million. He created a $28 billion real estate fund over a 30-year period. So the dude's been pretty in touch with things. And if you haven't checked out his book, Bitcoin, Gold, and the Dollar is the name of it. Very interesting book. So I got to ask him about some of this stuff. And so he said, never say the government would never. Whoa. If you hear people say the government would never, you should have a little suspicion alarm going off. Would they never confiscate everyone's gold? Up until then, everyone thought they would never do that. Yet you were a criminal if you had 2 gold coins. Crazy, huh? So anyway, the lesson in all this is prioritize your competence. Get obsessed with classes. Stop watching short form videos, YouTube reels, shorts, TikTokies. Be done with it. Okay. If it's part of your marketing campaign, great. make them, stop consuming them. That's part of the brain rot, which affects your decision making. And your decision making needs to be on point for decades in order to win. If it comes up that there's a vote for central bank digital currencies, you should vote absolutely no. No way, no how, no, no, no. And think about what Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Jefferson would have said about something like that. It's insane propositions. Don't believe it, resist it, buy assets, work hard, put service into the economy. Serve 84 people this year. Enroll 84 Stream Plus combos. Bob Snyder will pay you $1 million. You go follow all the right rules with that $1 million, you'll be out of the rat race the rest of your life. And we can be in this game of solving problems and helping people. You see on my little stand here, this is the Statue of Responsibility. If you're not aware of that, please just spend a minute, Google it, look it up. The Statue of Responsibility's whole premise was that once you get to a different level in life, instead of looking down on people, it's reach down to people and pull them up to the next spot, and then teach them to reach down. It's never look down, it's reach down. So it's two hands, like helping climb. And that's what motivates me to keep showing up every day, keep learning, keep studying, keep helping more people. It's an exciting mission that we're on. Not a lot of people know what we know or have the resources that we have, the connections, the ideas, the capital. Let's make the best of it. The time is now. Don't dilly-dally. Okay? And be diligent. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. I appreciate your time and attention. And when you see our new students in the groups and in the chats, make sure they feel welcome and let them know this is the best place to learn real estate investing. And let's go out there and do our best. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye for now.